Is Katrina, and I'm here to tell you about what I read in February. This is my first booktube channel video. I'm very nervous, and it's weird and awkward to talk to myself about books that I've read. I'm a little embarrassed, but so I tried to film somewhere where I'm really comfortable. This is where I read. To a lot of my reading in my bed. But enough said about that. Let's get into the books. I'm gonna go backwards, so the most recent one I finished to beginning of the month. And the most recent book I finished was Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson. This is the third book in the Stormlight Archive, which is supposed to be like 10 books, but broken into like different stories after 5 books. So after the 5th one of these, I guess it's going to switch to a different set of people, which is kind of sad to think about, but I guess good since it is a lot. This is, I think, 1,200 pages, and I loved it. This was awesome, not because also I read Warbreaker this month, and it was just like magical. I don't want to spoil anything, but yes, this will be 4 stars probably for me. There was something I didn't really like in it, but I mean, out of this, having one little thing you don't like, it's pretty good. And this is my favorite character on the cover is Yasna, and she is a badass, and she pretty much has to do everything. But that was just a little recap of that. Let me know if you guys want a very detailed review. I can do that too. And then before that, I picked up The Ruins, which is a horror survival story. I got this at the thrift store down the street from me, and it actually was really good. And there is a movie about this from 2008 or something, and I watched that probably when it came out, and I was younger, and I was like, meh. But I liked the book. A little long. I think I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads as well. It definitely has some trigger moments for people that don't like survival horror, and of getting hurt without any medical stuff, and it gets pretty gross. But yeah, very entertaining, quick read. I highly recommend this if you're into any horror. And then there was a couple of really short things that just automatically go into your Goodreads, I guess, if you read it in Kindle. I need to probably turn that off because I don't even like to count these. They're just little single comics that I read, and if I'm going to be able to edit this, I'll put them up here. And I don't have a lot of opinions about it because they were only like 12 pages sometimes. So I hate even counting that, and I might need to up my goal again, or just take them off. I don't know. One was a Jessica Jones story. It was very, very short to even have a real opinion, but I think I gave it 2 stars. The next is Hill House Sampler by Joe Hill, and this was just all of his comics that he has going on other than Lock and Key, because we'll be getting into Lock and Key in like 1 second or more than 1 second. I did listen to The Best Yes, which is an Audible, I don't know if it's an Audible original actually. I think it was like a deal or something that I got on there, and I gave this 1 star. It was a little too overly like, just leave it up to Jesus for me. Nothing's wrong with that. I think that's awesome if you want to leave it up to Jesus to tell you what to do, but he's not talking to me all the time or ever. But it was very bizarre. It was like, who gave this woman a book deal? I don't know. But I did have one takeaway and that you should never say yes to something if you are stressed out, because you've said yes to so many other things. It's like common sense. But yeah, this was a very bizarre book. And I really had it on 3.5x listening to it, because I just could not take it. And then before that, on Kindle, I read Fiona and Cake, and that is the Ice King from Adventure Time, the Ice King's fan fiction stuff, and they did a little free comic book for Free Comic Book Day, and that was very short as well, and I think I gave it 4 stars because it's just so cute. Before that, on my Kindle, I reread The Yellow Wallpaper, which I probably have a copy of somewhere, but I'll put it here when I learn how to do that. I gave it 4 stars. I think it is really short, and then you get why it's really short, because I think it was a pamphlet or something. I don't know, but it's scary. It's a scary book about how mental health was treated back in the day, especially towards women who were hysterical. So this woman who's just shut off from all communication with human beings and like locked in this room, and her husband is her doctor, which is sketchy anyways, and she starts to see stuff in the wallpaper, and I won't say anymore because it's very, very short, and everybody should check it out. I think it's free on YouTube probably to listen to, and I think I saw it on there, and then it was free in my Kindle app, and then I just added Audible or the audio for 99 cents or something. But yeah, I think that should be actually assigned in school. Every single person should read that growing up. And then I read Lock and Key, the Known Keys on Kindle as well, and that's like a little short standalone for Lock and Key, and I thought here I gave that 5 stars. It was so cute. It was just the cutest and a little very sentimental. I almost cried in this like 20-page little comic, and it's supposed to be a horror comic, and I almost cried during it. But definitely just check that out. And then Lock and Key Small World standalone here, gave that 4 stars. This is very entertaining and a funny little read about a key that the father made for some daughters for a doll house, where he basically turns key house into the doll house, and you can reach in and you're big, and yeah, it was really fun. It was a really fun quick read. And then I read an Audible original that was free, listen to, and it was called Beezer. And this is about Satan's son who, as punishment, gets sent to Earth in an adoption, like he was adopted, and he kind of has to acclimate to this, and it was really funny. There was some clever moments in it. I wish it was a little bit longer, but I know it was a kid's book, so I could see this easily being on the Disney Channel, like not Discovery ID. That's True Crime Channel, right? Not that. Just the Disney Channel, or on the Disney app or something. I could see this being really funny as an animated cartoon or a live action, if they can do that. But I gave it 3 stars just because it was very short, and I think they could have done a little bit more with it. I don't know if they're going to do anything else, if they're going to make up another, I don't know what to call it, sequel, I don't know, another series. But it did wrap up pretty well. It had an ending. But yeah, that was for free on Audible. The Audible Originals, which is Amazon, it actually gave, instead of 2 for the month of February, they let you pick 4. so I got a couple of those. The one before that I finished was Oliver Twist. This is a classic, and I probably have this as well somewhere. I'm kind of mad I didn't even go look to see if I had it. Too late. I gave this 4 stars. Definitely not my favorite Dickens. I haven't read a ton of Dickens, but I love David Copperfield. David Copperfield is one of my all-time faves, and I'm gonna like a book sale or something. But this is my favorite Dickens. Let me know if I should do a reread of this. I know it's like his kind of an biography. That's a word. And yeah, that's my favorite. So Oliver Twist, though, is been done a lot. It's like about an orphan, and sorry, something just popped up. An orphan who is treated really bad. I think that's the worst part of this book, is just how brutal it is. Like, everybody wants to kill him in London. Like, it seems like they're like, you're gonna hang for this, and he's like 9 or something, maybe not even 9. I couldn't ever imagine, being told that. And like, they're serious, like they want him to die for some reason. So there's a lot of abuse, and like other children are being abused, and it's just very sad. I could see why it was very popular. It's a little long. I think I read the unabridged version from Kindle, so it was like over 500 pages. But I know Dickens made his money per word in magazines and all that fun stuff, so he had to be very wordy to make his things longer so he can get paid more money. And then after that, on Kindle as well, I read another Lock and Key standalone, and this was Grindhouse. I gave this 4 stars. It's another one of those really fun stories about one of the keys, and this key was awesome, and I'm gonna probably spoil this, but you turn into a door and you can trick somebody. It just looks like darkness, like a dark room, but it is a big mouth. You're in a big mouth of a monster that you never see, but it just closes and it's just teeth. And it was really funny because the guy that does get it, he's bad, so it was cool. And then before that, I listened to 6 of Crows. This is a YA book, I believe, and I listened to this for free on YouTube, which is so cool that people did that, and I'm surprised it's up there. This is by Leigh Bardugo, and I did read her Ninth House. That was the first or second book I read by her, but I really liked Ninth House. 6 of Crows is out of my comfort zone. It is YA fantasy stuff, but I actually really liked this. It was like one of those heist movies you watch, and where like the team has to get together, and they're all really fucked up though. Like, there's not like there's not just one person that has a fucked up story. I feel like in heist movies like Ant-Man or something, they have like the one really sad story. Everybody has a really sad and fucked up story, and then you're rooting for is it Kaz and I forget how to even say her name, but yeah, you end up really rooting for them to fall in love. And I will read Crooked Kingdom as well, but I gave this 4 stars. This is really high compared to what I gave Shadow and Bone, which I'm glad I read Shadow and Bone before this, just because I could know more about the magic system and the world that it's set in. But definitely like 60 Crows a lot better. I'm gonna definitely read Crooked Kingdom. And then before that, I finished the 7th Wheel of Time book, which is A Crown of Swords. My copy is like falling apart. It was so sad to read this, and it was just totally, this whole page is about to fall apart. I have to re-glue it or something, or just get a new book. I actually found the Shadow Rising in a big floppy one at a used bookstore this week, and it was very exciting because I think I traded that as well. It like totally fell apart, and it was a new trade. These just don't make it through very many reads, and I got this at the thrift store too. When I before I started reading it, I found like 6 or 7 of them, like even the prequel, for, I think I got them for under $5 or something. It was amazing, and I was so excited, but it does fall apart after you read them. So I'm liking the series a lot. This is, well, so good. I really liked book 5, The Fires of Heaven was one of my favorite books. Book 6 was really boring until the end, and book 4 was really good, but I'm not feeling it. I'm kind of dreading reading the Path of Daggers, but I have to. You have to read it. But this, a lot happens, and Bran he gets more powerful, the main character, but they keep him really human, and I liked that. He even has like panic attacks, and he has like PTSD, he has very human problems. Some of my favorite characters in this were really annoying. Nynaeve and Elaine, I like them a lot, and they were so mean for no reason to Matt in this, when they really should just be supporting each other, because come on guys, you've been through it. But yeah, and there was the romance in this kind of took a step. There was 2 romantic things that happened, and it was awkward. One was awkward, and one was like, we knew that was going to happen. But there was like another really awkward thing after this, but I don't want to get all into Wheel of Time stuff and drama and characters in this little recap. But let me know if you want another review just on this, or any future, or any past, the wheel weaves as it spins, whatever, of any Wheel of Time stuff I will attempt to do. And before I finished that, I listened to an Audible original, and this was Alone with the Stars, and I gave it 2 stars. It's about Amelia Earhart, like supposed to be a real story, based on a real story, and it's from her point of view, and it's from a point of view of like a little girl with a radio or something, and it was very short, which was nice because I couldn't take any more of this. I feel like they said, like, they hinted at Amelia Earhart was pregnant when she disappeared, which was like really fucked up. I feel like if I was Amelia Earhart's family, I'd be like, why would you even like hint at that? And I think the real story parts of it were not real at all. It was just seemed like, I don't know, stick it to the wall, it will be free, so whatever. But before that, I did read another Audible original really quickly. It was Caffeine, How the Modern World Was Built, and this was actually really fun. It was like a fun little blurb about caffeine, and I'm actually drinking caffeine right now, some tea, but getting stuff done. It just had a bunch of fun facts about when it was introduced, how it was found and made, and all that jazz. Facts. Yay, Balzac drank 72 cups of coffee a day. I don't know how he slept, but yeah, I gave that 3 stars. I would have given it a little higher if it was a little longer, but I get these little things are supposed to be short little spurts. Anywho, and before that, I am kind of really excited to talk about this is Warbreaker. I finished listening to that on Audible, and I loved it so much. I wish I knew about this when it came out, like 10 years ago, because I feel like I would have gotten into fantasy a lot sooner. That I did read fantasy 10 years ago. It was just like Game of Thrones fantasy, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I think it was awesome. The ending was a little ambiguous, but I think we're gonna get an ending to Warbreaker very soon. And I loved the characters. Actually, did I give it 5 stars on Goodreads? My Goodreads might say 4 stars. I think I wrote 5 here. I wish there was more time with Ciri and Vivenna. I just think that they didn't have a lot of time together in the story. Like, they maybe have 2 scenes together, or 2 or 3, and I would like a lot more of that, like in less light song. And yeah, nobody knows what this is probably about because I didn't even do a synopsis. Did I do a synopsis or anything? Well, anyways, it's about 2 sisters who one is groomed since like she's born to marry a god king. So she's trained in everything, and she's the older sister. And then the younger sister, she doesn't worry about anything. She has nothing to ever worry about. She has a perfect older sister, and then she can kind of just do whatever she wants. And this is kind of true to my life. No, I do have a perfect older sister, but I'm not perfect in any way. But and then she gets sent to the God King instead, because her dad was like, we need to like kind of trick them. So he doesn't want Vivenna. I guess he likes her more, is kind of what I got in it. But it's not that at all. It's just to kind of, keep that kingdom on their toes. And they send Ciri instead, and then Vivenna is like, I have to go save her because these people are fucking crazy. And they're not crazy, they're just a different religion than they are. And she just has to accept that, and she actually becomes what they are on accident, and has to like deal with that. It made me think about religion, and it made me think about sisterhood a lot, and just the relationships you have with your family, and what would you really do to save them. And then there's this huge other thing that happens, and yeah, it's a lot. It's really good. It's a little long, but it's worth it. And then you can go and read Oathbringer and be like, my brain just exploded. But yeah, before I finished that on Audible, I read the Ballad of Black Tom on my Kindle, and this was a short story that was inspired by H.P. Lovecraft. A Lovecraft-inspired short story set in the 20s, but it packs a very relevant punch, I think, and it was done very well. It's very ambiguous in the monster and stuff aspect, and the magic. Well, I guess it's not really. Is it magic? It might be magic. But I highly recommend this to anybody who's ever read H.P. Lovecraft or anything. And I know everybody's like, he's like racist and stuff. And that's why I think this author he loves H.P. Lovecraft, and he was like, you gotta take it for what it is, sort of thing. But he really turns it around, and it's awesome. And I can't wait to read more of this author's. The Ballad of Black Tom is by Victor Laval, and it is like a revisit to a late H.P. Lovecraft story, which I haven't read. The story is actually based on either, so I'm gonna check that out. before I finished that, I read Lock and Key Volume 6 on Kindle. I have it right here. And it was Alpha and Omega. I don't even know if I rated this. I probably rated like 4 stars or something. It's just the ending of Lock and Key, which I read all of these volumes before the Netflix show came out. I was actually saving them for Halloween this year, but Netflix ruined that for me. But whatever. I did rate it in my little notebook. I wrote 5 million stars. Apparently I really liked the ending of this. I remember it being a little confusing for me, and my boyfriend Alex actually explained maybe what could happen in the end, but it was very devastating and also very satisfying. I cried, I laughed, I cried a lot actually. Like, it was bad and I had to go into work and I was like but yes, very good ending. The whole series was really good. So before that I read the Lock and Key Volume 5, which is Clockwork, and I gave that 5 stars as well. And that where you learn actually where the magic comes from and where the Whispering Iron comes from, and like the whole backstory, because they get to go back in time with the key. And before that it was Lock and Key Volume 4, which I think I actually have that one. Yes. And this is Keys to the Kingdom, and this one was hilarious at some parts because they're discovering all these new keys and there's like all this crazy shit happening because of the well lady slash Dodge slash whatever his name is, and he's just like creating chaos. Like, it was just chaos for these kids, and this was really, really funny. And it was really funny too because there's a calendar in this of February, and it's like has a bloody handprint, and it's like blood and like white, and it's very romantic for Valentine's Day. So yeah, loved this. And then before that, of course, I think I actually switched and I read Finland Saga Volume 2, which I'll put here. And that it was okay. I could see like where they're going overall with that. They're gonna make it really long revenge sequence thing. There were some funny parts in this. I liked the first one a little bit better, but very entertaining manga series. And I can't even tell you who wrote it actually. I'll just put his name here. When I learned to do that. So before this, I finished Lock and Key Crown of Shadows. This has my favorite key in it, slash crown, and I was really disappointed about what the show did with this. It was very sad that they really didn't take the time to do the Crown of Shadows properly. It was very disappointing, but yeah, this was awesome too. There's a lot of power in the Shadow Key, and they learned that in this. And I gave this one 5 stars as well. I think I gave all of these 5 stars because they're just so good. I might have a bias. I'm a huge King fan and I'm a huge Joe Hill fan. So when it comes to stuff like this, I'm gonna probably always give it 5 stars. And then before that came the second one, and this is the head key, which I'm sure a lot of people know about head key now. It's done so much better in this. Like, your head actually comes open and you have to go in, and yeah, it's done a lot better than this show did it. Like, it was such a cop-out, but okay, whatever. Done and done. Book's better. Very good. This was 5 stars as well, and some hearts. stars and hearts. And then before I got into all of these, I reread the first one, which was free on Amazon Kindle, and that's how I really got into it, and started to buy them. It does get expensive, so I bought them very slowly. And before that, the first book I finished of February was a reread that I'm doing with my friend, who I don't even think she finished rereading it, so I'm kind of pissed, but not really. But it is Game of Thrones, and I read this 10 years ago, and I said I would talk about this. Rereading this, I was not impressed. I guess it's just higher fantasy. I don't know if this is high fantasy. I'm thinking it's high fantasy, but it's just all of the drama, like the political intrigue stuff, isn't even that intriguing in this. Like, after reading Wheel of Time and some Sanderson, like the Stormlight Archive, like, this is like soap opera-y to read. And like, there's stuff too that I forgot about, like the others have their own language in this, and it's like right up front, and I was like, what? Well, when did that happen? I don't remember that happening. Like, they just stare at each other in the show, right? And like nod. And I don't remember reading it, and then the foreshadowing in this is so blatant. I love George R. R. Martin. I loved his he has some other, like a vampire story that I really liked. And I'll look it up and put it here if I remember the name of it. But this is not that great. 10 years after the fact, you still really like Daenerys a lot in it. But she's so young. She's like 13 or something in it, and she's like telling a cow like how to have sex with her, and it's awkward. But because she's like a tween, she's like just became a teenager, and it's very weird. Everybody's very annoying, and except for I think the John parts weren't as annoying, and I kind of remember that. Kat's very annoying, Sansa's very annoying, Arya not so annoying. So it just brought up a bunch of stuff that I was like, oh, I hate cat parts. It's just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. So I re-rated, I don't even know what I would have given it 10 years ago. Probably 5 stars 10 years ago. I did give it 3 stars, even though I'm hating on it right now. I would recommend this if you've never read anything else in your life. I don't know. Like, this is like, if you want to get into reading, definitely. It's like Harry Potter for an 18-year-old. Yeah, so that was all the books I read in February. I'll have the total here. I hate counting those little comics as one, though, but I will up my Goodreads goal, and I will link that in the video, I guess, is my Goodreads. I don't have any friends on Goodreads, so it's kind of sad. But I don't really know how the app works that well. It's kind of glitchy. Sometimes it doesn't even have stuff that I'm looking for. But let me know if anybody wants an actual review I'll try to do on some of these, instead of being like, it was good or it wasn't that great. And everything I say here too, might be Game of Thrones might be your favorite book or something, and I was like, I don't like it anymore. Hey, stuff change. I might like it in 10 years from now again. But yeah, that was that. So have a great day. Keep on